Hello, participants. Welcome to this week 2 session of our virtual internship program focusing on full stack development. We are really excited to meet you, and we had amazing participation last week. We expect same amount of energy even this week also. Thank you. Let's dive deep into today's session on full stack development. Over to you, Pooja.
Thanks, Pranav. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the week 2 session on your full stack development internship. It will be an interesting one again, where we will talk about first, we'll start from the basics of JavaScript, and then quickly we'll move into an interesting game development process today. So, only request is we expect you to be really punctual during the session and join as soon as possible. We see a lot of students haven't joined till now. So that doesn't help make this successful. Okay. So it's good that we could all join at the right time. And that way we could start from the very beginning. So I hope we already discussed this. That way it will be good to have the internship streamlined in the right manner. All right. Next slide, please. Sandhya. Sandhya, am I audible? Can you please take it to the next slide?
Yeah, already changed my slide. Is it not visible?
I see session rules. Pranav, is it the same for you?
No, Sandhya, it hasn't changed yet.
Okay.
All right. I'll try to. Yeah, looks good, Sandhya. Thank you.
Okay.
So today, before we get started on today's session, I quickly want to remind you and also ask you that most of you who have submitted the coding questions should have received their badges already. If not, they will receive it by the end of today evening. So showcase your badges, use them on LinkedIn to showcase that you're going through an internship, you're going through a learning process and get an edge over others as you are using open source tools to develop all the interesting solutions that we discussed throughout the internship. So that's something that's going to be really interesting. Today we'll give you a brief introduction on the most important technologies, which is JavaScript. And using that, we would first go through a simple login page, and then we will proceed on to create an simple 2048 game that most of you may have played by now. So we'll talk about the data types in JavaScript. We'll do a simple code snippet exercise as we will go through our concepts of the session. And then we will jump into the development of these JavaScript basics, heading over to the 2048 establishment game. So, all right. Before we go ahead and discuss the concepts, let's follow our ritual from the last week of setting the kit onto our systems. For that, we will need a link for the kit, the community page, which you can check out in the chat section that has been recently shared. So yeah, you could see that that link will take you to this page, which is your week 2 internship program page. Go ahead, click on it, and then you would be able to check out that the week 2 would be somewhat, we will try to inculcate without website development, front end development. We can't say that we are able to go full stack into a development, and hence we would try and get through a very simple web application and then into a game application of 2048. So that is going to be our objective today. We would start really from scratch. If if we have someone who's a beginner, he or she should also be able to understand. You could go through this 10-minute video as per your requirement after the session for a refresher that you may like. Then you would see that under the practical exercise section, we have the kit for today. In fact, today we would be trying to use two kits, a very, very simple basic JavaScript one, and then another one, which is this 2048 game. So we'll use both these kits. Then your coding exercises that you have to work on for this week, stay here. And then further, there are some simple code snippets that we have provided as sample exercises for you, of which one I would discuss through this session itself. All right, so let's get back and first set up the kit first basic kit for the session. For that, go ahead and click on the Candy One Click Kit. This takes you to this page, which is called Basics of JavaScript Programming. Here we have listed down the information as to how you could set this kit onto your systems if it is a Windows system or if it is any other operating system apart from Windows. We'll go ahead and click on the one-click installer. This could be one of your first JavaScript applications, okay, that you may have built. If you already are aware, then this would be a piece of cake for you. So I would just say, show in folder. This actually sets onto your local system. So click on the one-click installer, get to the zipped file. To extract it, right click and say extract all. You would see unzipped folder. Double click the unzipped folder, get into it, and you will see a batch file. This batch file will automatically start setting dependencies onto your systems. So for that, we'll have to double click and let window know that you know what you're doing by saying more info and run anyway. That way, this automatic installation of the required dependencies would start. In fact, the repository will also get set up onto your systems. So we'll let this setup happen. Also come back and also set up our 2048 game onto our systems. And that way, we'll have both the kits set onto the systems. All right, so then first discuss today. I hope the full screen is visible.
Yes, Pooja.
Okay. So, yeah, I may ask this question to most of you that how many of you have developed a website by your own already? This will help me take it quickly. Have any of you already developed any very basic website where you mention your name, a simple profile of yours? Okay, awesome. So a couple of you have already set up your website. Today we could take it in a streamlined fashion. All right, aware with the concepts around HTML, CSS. So you may be and how many of you haven't developed any website till date? And there's nothing to be shy about. If all of you have, then it is great. Is there anyone who hasn't developed any? Uh, okay, Vishwanathan, I guess you just raised it. So I believe that you may not have. So this will be something that could help you get started. Like, you could become really confident with the help of an open source cross platform where you don't even have to think at all. So why JavaScript? First of all, so the reason is that JavaScript is one of those, I feel, is my system flickering?
Now I'm not able to see your PPT.
The system seems to flicker.
Okay.
It may get shut down, guys, for a minute. System seems to flicker.
Okay.
Let's just give it a minute.
Yes.
Okay, Pooja.
Is it okay now?
Yes,
Is it
visible?
perfect.
Yes.
It's visible. All
Yes.
right, all right. So today we want to talk about this interesting programming language called JavaScript, which we call lightweight. It's an interpreted programming language. Primarily, it is something that is used in complementation to HTML and CSS. So when we talk about, or when we say we want to work with HTML, CSS, you say that we are able to define the structure, design, etc. of our website, of our web pages. But without JavaScript, there is no interaction, no animations that you could add primarily apart from, let's say, simple videos or images. To make your page more dynamic, to make it more interesting, we need this programming language called JavaScript, which is used by most of the websites in the world today, Facebook, YouTube. JavaScript is the primary language that is being used by these programming languages. And that is what makes JavaScript as your primary client-side language as well. So when we say it's one of those core languages which are used to develop websites, you see that HTML, CSS, they help you again just structure it, but the behavior of your website, you could add that interactivity, make it more interesting in the most imaginative ways using JavaScript. So recently, you would see that this there are multiple frameworks that have also been introduced. There are multiple tools that are specifically there so that you could execute code on servers. So one of those is node.js, right? And since if we talk about the release of this language called JavaScript, there has been a lot of ups and downs. So we want to talk about the ups and downs as well, which JavaScript as a language has faced. So first of all, Angular, React, jQuery, Node.js, these are some libraries and tools around the JavaScript that are primarily used. But if we go into the history of this language as a whole, it all started back in 1995. So in September 1995, or let's say early to mid 1990s, everything was, it was a very important time for internet. And there were these three key players, browsers like Netscape, and then Microsoft were also having its Internet Explorer, and both the browsers they were in, let's say it was a head to neck competition. So your Netscape navigators, Microsoft Internet Explorer, they were going really good, both of these browsers, and nobody knew what the future would be as of today, right? So what happened that a programmer at Netscape named Brandon Rich, he developed a new, scripting language, and that too in just 10 days. So initially it was named as Mocha, but quickly became as LiveScript and later JavaScript. So the name also came after multiple version updations, etc. Right? Just like we have a alpha beta testing. So JavaScript had many languages, challenges, and the primary language was one of its nature of being verbose language, where doing simple things became sometimes difficult because there was incompatibility issues between different browsers. So then you see that there was a large community that responded and made interesting popular frameworks and libraries. So there was back then also Dojo, mood tools, and then you see jQuery, etc., which have made this really more easy to use. But then even in the starting, it didn't get off that easily. It didn't perform well, and those who were developing in Java considered JavaScript more of a UI glue to be used mostly by designers and other non-engineers. But the reality that we see today, that this glue language allowed the internet to really flourish. They could react, your programmers could react better to use events and compose interactive components. And due to that, it spread like a wildfire and very quickly became the lingua franca of the web. So basically, JavaScript usually hasn't been, initially accepted very easily. But today, if you see, every website would have a component of it. And that's how the web pages are interactive. You need to know about it. You need to know the dynamic elements that you could help add with the interactivity of simple, click of a button that will take you navigate to a second page and load a particular let's say couple of things you want to load in the very beginning. So in which HTML element to put and where to exactly get if you want to, if you want that it should be an event based handling. Let's say we want that on the click of a button, something should happen. Okay. Or let's say I would want a display to happen only when someone hovers onto a particular link, hovers onto a particular keyword. Okay. So all those types of components, they were there. But then with JavaScript, you are able to enhance the interactivity. You are able to add that particular behavior into your uh, website, into your web pages. So it's all about collecting, getting information. So compatibility was one major issue. Different ECMA scripts were there, and different browsers were able to understand different languages. And then today, if you see, you are able to even do everything that you have done on a particular browser reflect it on the different browsers. So that is how made JavaScript and such an interesting and amazing language to use. You could use it as a client-side validation language. You could use for manipulating HTML pages, for user notification. So when we talk about these different things that you could do, when we say client-side validation, so this is very important to verify any user input before submitting it to the server. So JavaScript plays an important role in validating the inputs at the front end itself. Then we say, okay, manipulation, you could just do it on the fly, adding and deleting any HTML tag. This could be done very easily using JavaScript. You could modify your HTML and change its look and feel. All that is pretty much very quickly possible. So then there are user notifications. Now I want to have those dynamic pop-ups. You see, you get those alerts, right? All those are, it's a simple one function thing that I have to add, and then the notification would come. The backend data loading. So JavaScript provides a JAX library, which can help in loading backend data while you're doing some other processing. Okay. So this gives an amazing experience to your website visitors with the backend data loading. And then if you talk about presentations, you could provide the various facilities where your websites look and feel looks really glossy, vibrant. We could use Reveal.js, Bespoke.js libraries to provide, web-based uh, slide presentations of sorts within the web page itself. And then we talk about server applications. So Node.js is built on Chrome's JavaScript runtime for building fast and scalable network applications. So even all these different applications that you're able to do are able to, that are possible with the different libraries, the community support, the open source nature of support that and tools that have been provided to this programming scripting language primarily. So we talk about the structure quickly, where we say there, you embed it within the body, or should we embed it in the head? So within the HTML, how do you decide where do I place my script? So to add a JavaScript, you would use the script tag. And within the script tag is where you would mention, like, let's say document.write hello world. So a simple hello world is what would be your first program that you would like to showcase. So first decision that we would try to do is whether you put JavaScript in the head or whether you put JavaScript in the body. So that decision you could make based on, let's say, on the click of a button. If you see, I want that when I click on a button, then it would say, say hello or just do perform some operation. So when we want that on running the script tag, an event occurs when a user, like let's say I clicked on something and then only that particular action is performed. So then you put it in the head tag. Else, if you want, when do I put my JavaScript or script tag in the body? The moment the page loads and I want that the script generates content in the page, then you could put it in the body portion of the document. I just want that whatever is pressed in the script tag, that's automatically gets loaded. So then I will put it in the body section. So linking to a JavaScript file. Uh, so you already know we make, so we add these CSS components into our HTML document so that it is more presentable, more interesting, more colorful, more flowery. So how do I make it dynamic, or let's say the part where we are saying we're adding a particular behavior, okay? Behavior, or we are trying to add the action oriented, event oriented part to your web page or website. So you then simply, as mentioned earlier, we will use the tag which is script tag. This is how you would just mention the file name that you would want it to have, and then the type. Let's say I've just add some particular similar simple JavaScript text type file. So you put everything in the HTML page if you would want it to work after you have performed an action. It is stored in a .js file. Okay, the format for a JavaScript could be that it's stored in a .js file. They can be placed directly in the HTML file's body or head. So this could be done like CSS, but properly it should be separated. It should be that content, presentation, and behavior. They could be placed separately in independent files and then linked here. So that is more of a bad practice to keep them clumsy within the same code. Let's quickly talk about variables. So what kind of variables you have in JavaScript? When you usually talk about variables, you declare it with a type. So if I want to talk about a type of a variable in JavaScript, it will be either var, or const, or let. So either of the three, when you declare, let's say var name, and then you have given it an assignment, right? I have the same name for all the types. Let's say three types I have mentioned: var, const, let. So what we are trying to say by assigning it currently with the same name, first of all, this is an untyped language. That means your variable can hold any type of data. You could add a number to it. You could add a character to it. You could actually add whatever. So after you have done your assignment, you could actually find the type of variable by calling the type of that. Let's say type of name. You could actually check by doing that. And there are a couple of rules like we usually have when we are trying to work around with variables. It cannot start with a number, has to be case sensitive. Okay, variable names are case sensitive. So that is something you will always have to recall. What is most important? So this could be something that is really important to know. What is the scope of a particular type of variable? Whether a reassignment is possible or a redeclaration of the same variable type. So let's say we have a variable, with a keyword called var, where, and then let's say name. So what will be the scope? It will be within that same function. So this is something that I guess is also essential even when you are sitting for your interviews, or when you're saying I've done a project on a website and then they want to dig a little bit on your basic concepts. So that's why knowing these basic concepts, that okay, the scope for a variable that has been declared with the var keyword will stay within the function. And if it is declared with the let, then it would stay within the entire block code. So then the scope for any variable which is a let or declared with the const will be greater. And for a variable with the var keyword, the reassignment is possible. So currently the name is Pooja, later it could be anything else as well. So reassignment is possible. Is a redeclaration possible? Yes, in another function, you could have a same name, right? You could have another var variable, and the name of that could be name, or it could be, I mean, in another function, I could have the same variable type. I mean, same name was as well. So redeclaration is also possible, and reassignment obviously is also possible. But when we go with the keyword let, since the scope is within the entire block of program or the block of code, so then you could, can I reassign it a value? This let, yes, you could reassign a value, but you can't redeclare it. That way, the computer would get confused, right? That why are there two variables with the same name? So only your reassignment, value reassignment is possible, but no redeclaration is possible. But for const, if you ask again, the scope lies within the block, and with the name constant, right? The keyword itself is mentioning we won't be able to reassign, neither redeclare it. Once defined, it would be having the same assignment value. So that is how, when we try to discriminate within this example, you should be able to understand the scope, reassignment, as well as redeclaration. So this is something, an important aspect when we are discussing the basics. Quickly getting into the data types. So you have your necessary primitive data types: numbers, strings, boolean, undefined, and null. And when we talk about the reference types, you would have your objects, arrays, and functions in JavaScript. So moving towards the non-primitive data types, which is your functions. We all know what function is. It is something that is used to avoid repetition of the code. So once you write, you could use it, call it anywhere, right? And that the statements within the function body, they perform a specific task. Okay, they perform a specific task. The format is you have your function keyword here, you have your function name, and then you have the quick parameters within the function. So the body would basically have some statements regarding whatever, let's say it's a factorial function. So there would be statements within it to perform operation for calculating the factorial of a number. And then accordingly, we can give out the output here, return output. So what is most important? A function could be again predefined or user defined. When we say predefined, let's quickly check two predefined functions that are in HTML. For that, I would share my screen. And we quickly go to here. So I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Pooja.
Thank you. And then we get into the inspect part, which you guys already know. And then quickly let's go to uh, your console. And then something as simpler as let's say console dot log, and then you just mention happy morning. And you just say enter. You could see it here itself in the console. But another function, you guys already must be aware of function, an alert. We could add an alert as, hello everyone. Brush up basics. And then we just simply again say enter, and we could see that the same alert would be showcased as a pop-up to us from the alert. So what are these kind of functions basically? These are your functions, these are your functions that are primarily there for you to, to be accessed as, let's go back here. So these are what console.log or alert. These are what predefined functions. I could just simply go to any browser page and then just try to run them, make changes, and that could be reflected there in that. Immediately I could make changes, showcase those changes there and then on the page itself. So similarly, there are also user-defined functions which we are aware of, where you would again, as the format on the right is showcased, you would mention the keyword, the name of the function, and the respective parameters that you want to pass through the function. And this function, user-defined functions, follows through as it is in different programming languages. So again, now we quickly move to what are JavaScript objects. So very important when we say objects, this would be an unordered collection of related data. So it could be, primitive or your reference types. We have to talk like non-primitive data types or your primitive data types, and these will be in the form of key value pairs. So somewhat it looks like a dictionary to you if you are already aware of Python, which you should be since most of you are 30 or 40, fourth year. So you know that we define the name and then let's say the name of the organization, the location, and the industry as the key and the value accordingly. So we could have multiple values as well. So what we are trying to do, we are just declaring so that each of these keys is referenced as properties of the object. Okay. So simple unordered collection, not necessarily this, it's an ordered one. You could define and then use it by calling objects to these event-driven programming. So good part we already understand when we talk about JavaScript, the user could actually click on a button and then a particular event can occur. And then we could say that a piece of JS code runs in response, which could help actually the page that appeared. The moment I clicked on click me, and then there is some change that happened in the current page. and we move to a second page. So let's now quickly get and understand this event-driven handling. We would always talk about the open source libraries, and we would vouch for it that these are something that is going to really help you use as well as contribute. You use it for free, whatever these kits are, for simple project development as well. We have a interesting one coming as face filters in the week 3, which you could also learn through how you could develop those through open source tools. So similarly, why open source libraries are so necessary to be used, because the point is you could check for support, you could get a lot of support from the community, from a vast community of developers who are there to help you, who are there to help you get quick fixes if you are getting stuck and you feel that there's no available option that you're able to find, or there are no available solution that you are able to find. Then comes in your security. So we see that we are able to check these pretty much components everywhere by, in fact, going on candidateopenview.com. You could check any library support, any library repository for support, security, quality, and then the license agreement. So only point as students we want to emphasize, do check the license agreement. For all candy kits that you use, those are all permissive license. You're free to use, customize, use them for projects. So, excuse me. So you could just pick these, make changes, update, and use, going forward. So now let's start programming. We would quickly get back to our kit. First kit, I would just say yes and enter. A very, very basic, simple login page like this will open for me. Okay. A very simple login page will open for me. I could just give a username and password, click on login, and a simple welcome message has been displayed. So what we can see here, we actually have two simple web pages here. One with the option to get the username and password, which is hard coded as root. And then the same basically moves to another page, which shows a welcome message. So you could do customizations on the background, etc. here if you would like. So the point is the second page, which is your success page, is again what based on a click of a button, and obviously the right values of username and password being entered to navigate to the second page. So very basic program. We will discuss the details of, quickly we will understand the basics of the code. But even before that, we quickly want to go and set up your check-in kit, or let's say the 2048 kit for today's session. So to be able to set up that kit, you see that under the week 2 full stack development, you will have this 2048 game in Node.js highlighted. Go ahead and click on it. This will take you to the page of the game. And here you would have to again click on the one-click installer. Say show in folder. Again, extract all the components of this kit installer as well. Get into it, double click it, say more info, run anyway, and your setup for this 2048 should begin. So in the meanwhile, while we will just quickly get into the relevant concepts for the very basic JavaScript page that was created, we'll let this setup also happen. So based on the bandwidth, it should not take more than 5 minutes. It does show a bit more in the starting. Once the bit rate is good, the transfer rate becomes really good. So this will come down. And in the meanwhile, we can minimize the screen and get to the code part of our JavaScript. So my JavaScript, I would just go and open from here. Let open this folder with a VS Code. So as I open this folder, the first file that usually I go ahead with, which starts to run or which showcases in the browser, is your index.html. Okay, is your index.html. We would see that here we have your style.css. Okay, so this style.css is what is primarily again the complete, I would say, formatting, your coloring, background, everything. This is the style that is being applied to the page. Your background color, your positioning of different elements, the height, width. So you could simply just change anything in the style from here. Okay. And you see that this is the color that we've been putting in the page. So you could make modifications from here directly by getting into the color palette, and then you could see that the same could be reflected directly, and you could go on to the live server and check out the changes that you have done, in fact, to the background color. So that is one thing. Then you would see that uh, there are icons, there is uh, there is a login field, there are different components of design that are available on the style.css. But what we see when we see the head section, there is this style sheet link to the style sheet that is being present so that it is linked with the HTML page here. What title we have given to our page? This is the title that showcases on the browser tab, okay? That this is the login page. And then we see we have a script tag being loaded here. Your variable is your input. And how are we fetching it? We are saying document.get element by ID with the password field, okay? So if you see this script tag, there is a simple function called display. And within this display, you are getting the username as well as your password that is being hard coded to the value root. Okay, it is being assigned equal to root, and after that you are navigated to your location. If this is satisfied, let's say form dot value satisfied, only then it will go and check your form dot password. We could see that this is within the if condition, and similarly once this condition also gets satisfied, you are being navigated to the page 2. So let's see the page2.html. We see that the page2 HTML is a basic HTML boilerplate here where the meta instructions for compatible device. So it's saying Edge browser and the viewport, etc. is mentioned with the scale of whatever the device is, accordingly the width and the scale should be modified. And this page, once you see, the heading would change to success page. We'll also have the style.css sheet as referenced as the style sheet here. And then a simple heading. You could see a simple welcome heading is what is being present. Or we could just say, welcome to your basics session, or whatever you would want. And as simple as this is what being present in the page2.html. So what is going on further, if we see that in case there is an invalid username here, then from here itself you will get that an invalid use alert. I just showcased you the function alert. The function would just give a pop-up as invalid username. If your password is invalid, then it will give invalid password. And similarly, you would have the div section mentioning your form class login with the heading login page on the respective classes. Here you see in style.css that are being mentioned. There is login icon, there is login field, dot login, right? So we could call this class and the same is being implemented. Whatever is being implemented as designed gets loaded here. And you could see that there is the screen background. Again, the screen background you would see mentioned here. So there is a screen background here, and accordingly you could see that the top, left, right, bottom, all of this is being mentioned to 0, and the same is being just put as a division element within the span here. So this is very basic, but apart from this, what else you could do apart from the login page? We can see that I would just want to, let's say, create a birthday calculator app, simple birthday calculator app. What I could do, I could just go to that same page. This is the page for which you could use for your reference. So let's say I just click on this birthday calculator using JavaScript. So either you go to candy.openviewer.com directly from this page. At the top, you could find the option to click on candy.openviewer.com. And here you could just search for, let's say, I want to create a birthday calculator in JavaScript. So this just by hitting on find and just asking it for suggestions around code snippets, you could see that it will try to give you some relevant solutions of which you could just pick up a one that you feel is good and then go to your Visual Studio, paste the code here, and then just check that what is missing. We see that it doesn't, I mean, it may miss a lot of things, but at least we would need to add a HTML tag here. So we would just say HTML and also add the closing tag. And then we just save it as for today in the same folder. And then just say, as we have saved it, we want to now run it with the open, we just want to open it with the live server. So if you have not already installed the live server, you just have to go into the extensions, search for live server. Okay, so if you've not installed it, go ahead and install it in your VS Code. Okay, and to make your code look better, you could just install prettier. So this is a code formatter. Again, you could install this. This will help you, do go further and make programming things easier for you. Okay. So yeah, birthday.html. We just ran it. It ran here. And as we run it here, currently you see this is that success page, the heading that we wanted to showcase as a title on the browser tab. It is as of now just showcasing the name and as well as this local IP. So the point is, let's say we add a year, uh, maybe 1990, 1 plus 8, days 23, and then you say calculate. So it will just mention that, you are 32 years, 10 months, 8 days. All right. So this is a very basic age calculator, or let's say birthday, age calculator app, where you would see that a simple function called calculate difference has been created. And then again, there are three such parsed elements that have been created from year, from month, from day. You see that the year, month, and day is what we wanted to be displayed. So first of all, the current date. And here, as we say that, let's see, it has all been defined with where. So today, 2 year, 2 month, today, and years. These are a couple of variables that are required being and defined here. And then you see when we are within the months, so we are deducting from the current 2 month and deducted from month. So we just have to check. Let's get into the main function basically to understand this. First of all, we have taken this as input as from the user, and then further we call this calculate diff. On clicking this calculate button is what we want to get, the result. So get up. Yeah. So we see that simple calculations are happening here. If today is less than from day, if the condition is not satisfied, obviously it won't run. So then the current has to be less than from the from day variable. And if that is satisfied, then months minus 1 is being assigned to months. Similarly, for year, we are doing the same. First, this condition should be satisfied that years, the current year, let's say your 2 month, this would be, let's say if I just enter 2024 here, and then let it keep like this, and then ask it to calculate. So you would see that it just gives me the age in minus. So simple mathematics here, 2 year months as well as the number of days. We just flowed the number of days here from 31, and accordingly added your answer together with the year, months, and days. So that is again being returned equivalent in the form of year, months, and days from this return that is happening for this particular function, calculate do. So this is again a simple script which we could just pick up from a simple search, right? That's how we want that we should make it more and more easier. But think about it from other perspectives. We could develop another application. Let us check the progress here for this. This is the download that was happening for your 2048 game. I would just say yes. And then I would see what does the game require, a simple block tile here, this simple block tile here. And then you would require this display of 2048. You could see this icon is being showcased here. That is something that I'll require. This is the title that is there, the score, and option to generate a new game. And what is this game? If you guys have already played, good. I would just need to use arrow keys. So let's say I just be able to play it, and the objective is to primarily reach the number 2048 such that we swap the tiles, we connect them, and the similar numbers add up. And that way we could get to the highest score also. So yeah, you could also create this simplistic game in JavaScript by using the script elements. Okay. So how do I, check out? Just go back to your Git installer where you did the download and double click the folder. Here you just say open with VS Code. So only thing required is you should have a IDE. If you're comfortable, use VS Code. If you're not comfortable, you may use any other. So I will just go to the index.html once again here. And in the index.html, I would see what all components are present. So we could also see style here. Within the style, there is a main.css. So again, the main.css is what is responsible for all the formatting and everything that is available in the main.css again is being referenced here in the index.html. So we see, first of all, we have your meta character set, which is UTF-8, again, the same defined title 2048 that is showcased in the uh, browser tab. Then we have your style that is being mentioned here. So that is being referenced from this main.css, which is under the style folder. Then you see that there are a lot of these icon references that are mentioned. So this is your favicon.ico for this icon. And similarly, there are, for Apple, they have your touch icon, their startup image. So this game style that are there in the main.css, your favicon.ico. That favicon.ico is a small icon that will appear in the browsers tab. So we just saw, right? This is your vcon.io. And similarly, you have these Apple Touch icon and your Apple Touch startup images, etc. So these are basically, these are small images that are used as icon when users save the game to their home screen on Apple devices. Okay, and similarly, these startup images, these are there for again Apple devices with specific screen dimensions. Okay, for specific screen dimensions, these are my dimensions is the height, width, etc. Are also mentioned for iPhone Plus, for iPhone, and likewise that is being referenced and mentioned here. And obviously we've made it compatible to be to be showcased. This game you could actually showcase with the help of meta tags. We've provided instructions for mobile as well as browsers, so that we are able to ensure that the game is displayed appropriately on different screens, and we can make it look like a native app. Okay, when saved to the home screen on different devices, then you would see the compatibility for being handheld, mobile optimized, and this is where your viewport. So viewport is the main area where everything is being showcased. The width, height of your web page. So that is your viewport here. Then again, within the divisions, different divisions that are being made. We have our title 2048. Okay, within the heading tag. Then you mentioned the scores container class, and within the scores container class, you further there's a game intro, like this is being mentioned. Join the numbers and get to the 2048 tile. So all this is mentioned. There is a restart button option. So when you click on the new game, the game would restart. So when I click on this, it will sorry, this game would start. So this is the heading that we just saw in the join the numbers and get to the 2048 game. So the intro, so that is there within this section. If you want, you could just say source, and you could actually understand the entire code here itself. When you select a particular region, you could actually see I just clicked on this particular image that got loaded. Similarly, this icon, I could check it like this also directly. I guess you guys are aware, you've created one of your own. So this is something, I guess, the score container, the intro, etc. You've also set the property to strong. Okay, so particularly for this instruction 2048, that will show as bold here. And then the option for this restart button with the game is also showcased. Okay, so I'll just get back here. Navigating here is easier. So then there is an option for keep going, try again, that is being mentioned. So you have your grid cells mentioning the different grids. So when you're playing this, so we will have these rows, and within those rows, you have your 4 block cells, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, as well as these grids, 1, 2, 3, 4 cells, and 1, 4, 3, 3, 4 cells respectively. So every grid row has these 4 cells accordingly. And then you just have some text on the explanation here at the, use arrow keys to move the tiles. When the 2 tiles with the same number touch, they merge into one. So all that's detailing is being mentioned here, apart from the creator of the game, etc. And then this is the part where we mention the script, etc. So if you click on this, then you're able to get to that particular JS file. That's what we said, right? It is better, good practice to have your JS files separated. Again, in the JS files, you would see that where self is one of this variable that is being declared. And for it, you would see it's an instance of array. So we would just go back again and first quickly check. There are different JavaScript files that are loaded here for the any frame, for the class list. If you go and click on this one, you would be able to get to understand the entire flow, as in you would be able to get to this add function as to the way we are able to showcase that. Let's say when I'm saying for these particular grid cells, you saw there's a remove function, there is function that contains, there's an add. So this is completely a list that is created here for different functions that need to be called. If you go down, this is the main function, user defined function with the object properties in the getter, where they define the different properties for each class. So if you, here is my HTML. Yeah. So basically, by getting these scripts just being sourced within the index.html, we are simply putting them separate. So for the tile, we have this tile.js for your simple local storage. So even when you close the game, like let's say I've played it and I'm also able to keep the current state of the game until and unless you press a restart. I would be able to get to resume back from this state. That is the local storage that is being used here. Then your keyboard input, your uh, move pointer up and down using the keyboard to to play the game that is being uh, for that this particular file is there. Then you have your tile container, score container. Your best score is also being your best score is also being mentioned here based on the local machine on which you are playing the game and the game message, etc. So all that is being mentioned in this file. The grid, the entire grid is here, the game manager. So these many JS files are directly being utilized here. So I guess this is your 2048 game. You could explore a bit more even in the even in the simple HTML file where you just had a login page. We also have a flex panel as well as card flip that is available. So again, if you go to the folder here and you check out, there are various other programs within the folders. Let's say the flex panel, if you go and click here. So it's an interesting visual of sorts and a very simple one as well that is available. So there are multiple such programs that are available. There is this card flip that is available with the option to not only flip it, but you could choose from uh, various flips that are available. A very basic background and such programs are there. So you could explore the code, make some changes if you would like, and then utilize these as well. So yeah, I guess for the current session, we primarily had the basic one as well as the 2048 game in mind today. I hope these were both set up onto your systems simply, easily. Were you all able to set the two kits onto your systems? How many of you can we just have a quick show of hands? Or else you're just playing the game around? Quick show of hands for 204. How many of you are able to set it up onto your systems? Okay. Couple of 2, 3 people. Can we keep the hands raised? Just want to know the number. Is there any difficulty that you faced while setting it up onto your systems? Should be a quick one. All right. Website blocked. Can do it in college. Awesome. Okay. So did you get an error? Biley? When you say blocked, can we just okay. You're saying that since we're trying to get it from the GitHub, you're not able to download it for now. So you just have to be on an internet connection that lets you access most of your web pages. Yes, I could say that. So you will have to go home maybe. I wasn't able to download the kit as I'm using college internet. Understood. So you could use mobile data. It will take a little longer, but then the setup should at least be able to download. All right. Thanks for your response. Just go and check. This should set for others who are there maybe at their home and not in the college. Apart from this, do we have any quick doubts that you may have from the session? Website block message is again that is something that your college does prefer to keep restricted. So I won't comment on that. You could go ahead and check. You could check out the week 2 exercises by going here, clicking here and choosing your college, your mentioning details about your name, email ID. Then we simply mention your phone number if your year of study is fourth. Mention your phone number, whatever it is, your branch. Answer quick questions here. Just mention the MCQs. Then how do you have to submit is you would see that some of you who have attended the session properly, they would know that it will be easier to be able to submit the questions going forward for these coding exercises. And with that, I guess we would finish today's session. Open to any questions that are there. Thanks all who have raised their hands. That helps me at least understand that you're able to follow through. You could lower down your hands. Thank you. Any other questions that you may have regarding the setup, regarding regarding anything? So was it helpful? Was it good enough? Interesting? Or did we did we not make it interesting for you today? Did you try using the code snippets in the last session? I mean, the coding option to check for code snippets. You could also use, you could also unmute yourself if you would like. Okay. Thanks, Sohib, for mentioning that you've. Okay. Thanks, Vailin. Glad to know. It should be interesting. It should be a learning experience for you. Only then it should be worthwhile. All right. Okay. Thank you. And yes, you could always post your questions even after the session for those who have not been able to check the kits as of now, being on the college internet. You could just sign up, and once you are there, this reply option will get activated. Post your questions on this page itself if you would like, or there is a chat option also that is available for you to discuss any questions. Thank you so much. And thanks a lot for staying interactive and also going through the session in the most interesting manner. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you, Pooja. Students, so please complete your coding exercise for week 2 by next Monday, which is the 31st of July, in order to receive your level 2 badge. So we will also send you a follow-up email regarding the coding exercise with all the resources today. So please check your inbox. So if you're having any queries, you can clarify now itself. Um,
Yeah, okay. If you have any queries on the submissions, any difficulties with the badges being received for week 1, you could just mention it as of now to Sandhya ma'am right away. All good? I guess you've already received the required badges, most of you.
mm,
And thank you. I could see there were some interesting submissions, good ones. All right, Sandhya, I guess
yeah,
it's good
yeah.
to go.
Yes, Pooja.
Uh,
Thank you all so much
Thank
for
you.
participating today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Pooja.
you.
Thank you, Sandhya.
Thanks, Pranay.
Thank you, guys.